Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with a really actual episode of Hearts of Iron 4 with Black Ice. And this time we are going to play as Japan and not just talk about the European situation. Okay. I am shifting some forces. Oh no, I'm close. I want to take this off. Shifting these forces over to here. Getting ready to do some invasion. Hungary claims overlordship over Slovakia. Okay. That's interesting. German Reich caves to Hungary. Okay. That is interesting. Very unhistorical, but interesting. Now, why in the hell? Okay, so they're moving somewhere. But they're not coming into Italy to fight the Americans. The Germans there. Okay. It's just not their problem until it gets to their border. Okay, and these guys, yes, they're here now. We wanted to move them to a larger port. Let's plan a naval invasion. No. Oh, crash this. Plan again. What? Cancel that. Am I missing? Oh, we've already have an invasion coming from here. We can't do two. That's it. Oh, that's right. I forget about that. And they're already coming in here. Oh well. Okay. Now, how is our... Okay, we've got most of the seas. And I know a few of you have been commenting about concentration of naval forces, and you're absolutely right. But for right now, we need to spread ours out, and I don't think we're going to face a significant British fleet. So, hopefully we can hit all of these guys. And move rapidly, hopefully. So, let's declare war, conquer, focus. And let's declare war, conquer, focus. Okay, let's send you operating into there. Which army is this? I don't know right offhand. Oh, that's this one. No, we don't. Where do we start? 'Cause yeah, we're not invading. I don't think we are invading here. Yeah, they're at war with the Europeans, but not with us. These guys, though, we want to here get them going. Okay. The United States has joined Brazil as our enemy, and okay, so we are now at war with the U.S. That's what I was hoping to avoid. So now that we are at war with them, let's send them. Let's slow this up considerably. Non-aggression. Okay, we'll do a non-aggression with you. Okay, we'll allow you guys to help in our war. Yeah, we'll allow to help. But unfortunately, this may be bringing in, so far not the Soviets, good. Non-aggression, sure. Non-aggression. Yes, you can move troops through my territory. Okay. You can have a non-aggression pact, and you guys can have a non-aggression pact. So none of you Axis people need to fear Japan. Okay, we are now at war with Burma, and I had sort of prepared for that. You pin the forces there. You, let's see, come down this way. Hopefully march in fairly... Oh no, hitting the wrong button. Yeah, I want to come down that way. No, not the cavalry. Infantry, you attack Michna. You attack there. You join in that attack. You march down that way. You come along there and you occupy that. How are we doing? Okay, we're still building a lot of radars. We can see by clicking down here. I love this feature. This is the only area we've got radar coverage as well. Air wings, well, I think we're going to leave the air wings standing by that aren't operating because I don't think they're necessary. Let's see how our blitzkrieg, it's a different sort of a blitzkrieg, but we'll go in. Okay, we are, look like we're coming ashore there relatively well. Is this force moving? Oh yeah, no it is, I think. No it isn't. Is it this one? No. I don't know. Everybody go. Get ashore. Now we need to see if we can do something about some of that manpower. Oh, it may help. Here, we're gonna... Japan did have women working industrially before the war, so probably allowed would be definite, but definitely by 43, 44, they were encouraged to work in many areas in Japan, but we'll just shift to that, which will help our manpower shortage a little bit. Okay, we are ashore, so let scrap this invasion in its entirety. Okay, well, I guess we'll send one division up just to clean up that. I really hate this system. Why, I really love the Hearts of Iron 3 system of stacking units. Okay, so we are ashore and moving at least there. Where aren't you going in your invasion? No, you are going, okay. I don't know whether Chinese manpower, I don't know whether that would be a positive help to us or not, because we are getting some manpower. I know it's non-core and whatnot. Manpower from the Soviet Union has capitulated. Okay. So the Soviet Union... Oh, wow. Well, that's a hell of a thing. The German Reich. Well, that may save... I don't know if it'll save Italy, but it may save Germany. Because Germany will be able to shift and use forces. Okay, which will means these guys here. And we're going to trash, delete all orders. And we're going to put you on railroads and move you... Oh, out here. Probably that has large enough infrastructure to support you. Or do... Nope. Nope. We're going to send you into Burma. I think that's where we need you. And these guys here. Let's trash that. We're no longer needing to face off. Oh, I don't know if I showed... but prior to this, prior to the start of, well, this and last episode, there were 11 divisions sitting on North Sakhalin Island. Just wanted to point that out. 9 of them were medium tank brigades or whatever. One of them was a motorized division, and one of them was an infantry division. That's the stupid AI. And that's just what the AI is stupid. Okay, so you get on trains and come that way. Maybe we could liberate India for Azads. Uh-oh, war support. Okay. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, isn't there a... Yeah, maybe I need to do it before the war to get more war support. I'm looking to see, is there... No, not really. Damn, there was one that did, but I think went away. Women in the workforce, war bonds, improved working conditions, weekly stability. Okay, there is not apparently a great... Surprised that war support went down so badly. War bonds. Well, it'll help with that, but won't help with the improved working conditions, stability. Well, we're gonna just hopefully we don't have any setbacks. Well, oh, you're right, man. Oh, sorry. Just looking up there, stability we don't have. Okay, so thank you. I'm just well, we can improve working conditions. That'll do it. That'll help. Okay, so lots of puppeting. Republic of China puppeted? What the hell? Okay, well I guess I don't know what the hell the Republic of China thing was. Oh, up here? They've created a puppet of... Oh, so they've created a Republic of China puppet here. How interesting. Yes, and here's the Russian Federation. Like there's... Oh, and here. Oh, God, yes. You're right, Border Gore. That is Border Gore. As longtime viewers know, I am not a... big concerner about Border Gore. But the idea that there's these little islands, you know, that I do sort of. But so there is this Republic of China that's a puppet of Germany north of us. Okay. Oh, and out here too. This is also... Do we get to go to war with them again? Well, they're a puppet of Germany. Damn. Should have given us that. Sakhalin should be Japan. Okay, well, I wonder if we were to... Send volunteers, stage a coup. No, nothing we can really do right now. Yeah, that is a problem. Go. You're going. You're ashore, great. Okay, we are going to trash all of your orders. And you're going to march to there. And you're going to now come down and join. But just regular shipping. Well, we're dealing with some of that relatively well. Okay, you, here, you go. Go. Okay, we need more control in the Java C, it looks like. Wrong button, there we go. Okay, yeah, Java C. You may be able to do it well enough. You just, this is a bad idea, but let's send you down to the Java C. See if we can control that well enough down there. Oh, well, this force here, you're going to come down to the Java C. There we go. That's a good idea, actually. Maybe we'll combine some of those naval forces at some point. Yeah, they might be able to get the Java C, or hold the Java C, but I don't think they have enough forces in the area. Got 39 transports. It looks like we're going to get ashore there. And wants to move through troops. decline. How is Italy doing? Since we no longer, since our troops are our small volunteer force, which is fine coming back, we no longer have a good estimation. But they've lost Rome. The Italians have. That'll be interesting once we get. Okay, you're here. Come down towards Mandalay. You might as well go this way. Yeah, I think you're right about that. The Germans, I think, will wait for the complete and total destruction of Italy and then do its thing. Make sure we get that. Italy has capitulated. Okay, yes, we know we're low manpower. No. No, maybe I should let them, I don't know. Okay, well now it's United Kingdom territory up there. So Germany may move in. Though having some of these areas here under Italy may mean that those were German units already in there that didn't capitulate. Okay, you cross there. You support the attack. Don't... Well, you've got Mandalay, good. Now go down towards Rangoon. Take out Burma before we go after British India. I've heard little bits about it, not much, quite honestly, about that new version of Black Ice. Oh good, we are ashore here. Sorry, I've been ignoring this. No, we're getting wrong key. Go there and swing around that way. You go there, and you 3 divisions go there. Okay, you're ashore, and again, cancel all of your orders, which I should do for this force as well. Delete all orders. Okay, you guys. Just start marching through the jungle. And did I forget to delete your orders? Probably. That's why you march back to there. Okay, well. Uh-oh. Okay, we are taking on some American destroyers under Fletcher. But I don't think they're going to stand too much of a chance. Not with our carriers. And of course, yes, we need to get better reconnaissance. Let's come back here. Okay, 42. Just want to remind myself what year we're looking at here. And see if there's anything really we should be researching right now. No, not yet. We are doing radar, which is good. Which was a major failing of Japan. Well, that looks like a good option. Convoy sailing, that's another. Okay, which, like I said, I've been reading a lot on the Pacific War. Japan, because of its geography, has very little useful industrial resources. I don't know if what we commonly call Arisaka rifles, though only the first sort of model really should be Arisaka. If you notice the Arisaka rifle, the wooden stock is made up of 2 pieces of wood, and you know the whole, because it's functionally it's one piece, but I'm talking about you can see that back, you know, that goes from sort of the front of the rifle all the way back, the whole piece of wood there. You can see that there's a line in it. There's 2 pieces of wood in the sort of behind the trigger and the stock, and that is because Japanese wood found in Japan is soft wood, and a stock sort of needs to be hardwood, and to have wood that comes back and the sort of semi-pistol grip and stock, it just wasn't as a single piece of wood hard enough to do that without breaking. So they had actually take and I think glue together 2 pieces of wood there to be able to, and maybe peg it or something inside, peg it to make it good enough for you know, to make it strong enough, where all the others, the Karkanas, the Mausers, that's all one piece of wood. The wood is just the types of wood found in Japan. Now, I know if you get down in Burma and some of these other places, there's teak and other real hardwoods, but Japan never really had access to it on an industrial scale. So there are 2 pieces of wood. Now, very late war Arisaka rifles actually has a wooden butt plate on the back of it. They're so bereft of iron or steel. And those are really junky rifles by that point. But earlier on, they're pretty good rifles, but they don't have good hardwood. They don't have a natural steel base or iron base. They're getting a lot of that from Manchuria. And it just goes on and on and on about coal. They don't have a good coal or oil. They do have a little bit of oil. This is sort of resource map. There is, don't I have a resource? No, there we go. There should be some little bit of oil up here, I think, but I guess it's not here in this game. But it was really sort of a minor thing. But no real, and there are some coal deposits. There are pulling out a little, but it's not enough to fuel Japan's industry. And so that's part of the reason why they go into Manchukuo or Manchuria, or however you want to say it. That's obviously why they go after the Dutch East Indies, to get the oil down here and other places, but a lot of it is sort of right there. And they're going after the rubber and other things. Now, Japan. Okay. The authors of the book on occupied territories, I forget the exact name, but this is somewhat close, on occupied territories supplying the German war effort industrially. France, mainly they were, I think, looking at Western Europe, but they were looking at other places too. But France, the Netherlands, Belgium, what did they contribute to? I watched a lecture of the authors talking about some of this stuff, and see all the air power flying over here. Somebody's operating air attacks. One of the people in the audience was, well, what if Germany treated its occupied peoples better, or some sort of statement? And it's sort of like, well, what if Nazi Germany wasn't Nazi Germany? It's not, what if they made a different decision, because if you watch the last special episode in which I talk about, hey Tippett, good to see you, talked a lot about some of the strategic decisions. Germany, realistically, Admiral Rader was promoting a Mediterranean first before going into the Soviet Union strategy. So these are things that people were thinking about, and Nazi Germany could reasonably have done and still been Nazi Germany. But you're not going to have reasonable things. Well, what if Nazi Germany treated Poles better? Because you got to realize, Nazi Germany at its core wants to erase Poland, okay? To the point, and they didn't have a particular, oh, look at this border gore, how interesting, Romania. But not to the point of the racial hatred that we see for the Jews and other people, that they necessarily wanted to extinguish the life of the Polish people, but they so want to get rid of Poland and the idea of Poland that they're they have, and you can sort of see here within some of these sort of boundary kind of thingies, they do have part of it that's the old German Empire that they sort of occupy as Germany. And then the other part, I'm not talking about the part that the Soviet Union occupies, though it later sort of becomes it. Some of it's Reichskommissar, some of it's a bit different. This part of Poland, that it wasn't part of Germany, that wasn't occupied by the Soviet Union, becomes the general government. Not the general government of Poland, not the general government of Warsaw, just the general government. They so want to erase the idea of any sort of place name, place anything of Poland. Poland is the only significant country that is occupied, that there are no collaborationist troops. We find collaborationist activities, Polish railway workers helping with the final solution, Polish police, at least for a while, still operating, but no combat or semi-combat forces of Polish troops. You do have Ukrainian types that were from the former geography of Poland, but were like being taken on as ethnic Ukrainians or ethnic Germans, or people that the Germans claimed were ethnic Germans being drafted into the German armed forces in Polish territories. But there is no Polish Axis collaborationist group, not because there wasn't an appetite from the Poles to do so. Trust me, there was plenty of Poles that wanted to fight the godless communists, that wanted to fight whatever, and that were willing to do so. Not that it was anywhere near a majority or or even a large minority, but if you look at, say, occupied Netherlands or occupied Denmark or somewhere else, I would say the percentage of peoples that would have been willing to join some sort of Polish ethnic army group to fight in the East would probably have been about the same. I don't know this. We have no stats, no figures, there was no recruiting for. There is no we just remembered from the starting sequence in Black Ice, they used the same poster. The NSKK recruiting poster for the Netherlands, you know, for military truck drivers for the NSKK/Luftwaffe. There are no NSKK units coming out of the general government or other Polish ethnic type groups. And even truck drivers, they're not doing it. Now, they are using Polish laborers in factories, including, you know, come to the Reich and work, you know, in an armaments factory kind. There is that element, but there is no semi-combat type element for anything in Poland, and I think there would have been. Again, I'm not saying it is a majority opinion, so if you're Polish and watching this and want to say, oh, they were so vehemently anti-German. Yeah, most were, but so were most Dutch. But we can find Dutch SS divisions that weren't really divisional scale units, but we can find them. They existed. There was nothing like that. So you got the Galatian type units that were sort of Ukrainian ethnics. Yeah, I hear you, Azads, but it's really more of a German wanting to, a Nazi, shall we say, not German, a Nazi mission to erase the existence of Poland as any sort of nation or state or other sort of things. The people, I don't know how much in the Nazis' racial view, how many of them could have been converted to Germans culturally, or how many were just going to get shifted east into colonists moving east. You may have some of that. But Nazi Germany is Nazi Germany. And so if you're going to play a game that's in any way based on Nazi Germany, you're not going to have, you know, Nazi-Polish alliance. That just doesn't work out. Now, if you're going to have a what-if game, and they're perfectly good, well, what if before 36 or something, there's a, you know, reborn of a post-war, you know, not Kaiser Reich as in the game, but the Kaiser comes back. The Nazis are just a marginalized political power. You have von Papen is prime minister or president. Well, probably wouldn't have a president under the Kaiser. You have the Kaiser, and then you have the prime minister, the premier von Papen, or chancellor, or whatever, von Papen, and they do a German-Polish alliance against the Soviet Union. Yes, I will buy into that for a good sake of a good what if, but not under Nazi Germany. Okay, so now back to Japan, and this is really where it started. For Japan to be Japan, and I've been thinking about this, playing this series, reading about this, planning my Black Ice Hearts of Iron 3 series for Japan, and thinking about the someday mod I'm going to make for Japan. And Japan still needs to be, Imperial Japan still needs to be Imperial Japan. It can't be, well, what if they did something so radically different, yeah, Japan could put more energy into radar. They did have radar in the early phases of the war, but it was very, very bad and very, very ineffective. It slowly during the war gets better, but nowhere catches up to German or American or British radar. It gets nowhere that good. It gets better. Okay. But it would be legitimate to say, in my opinion, well, what if they put a little more research and effort into it? Or let's say, what if Germany more successfully gets plans and instructions and equipment to Japan to build better radar? That, oh, we should be attacking here. I forgot all about this. So better radar, sort of what I'm trying to do here, is to me a very reasonable what if for Japan, okay, because they were already thinking about radar, they already understood what it was, they were already having it, but they just weren't doing it very well, and it was not a focus. Japan, again, I've talked about before, very much focused on night fighting training for its navy. They very much wanted to do night operations. They got very good at that. They were probably the best at that in the world. It just didn't really matter because the Americans had, after some point early on, and some of you mentioned, whether the Allies are going to be able to, you know, hold out down here in the Java Sea. Some of these early battles, the night fighting did matter because Japan did have very good night fighting training, and the sort of composite Allied force of Dutch, British, Australian, and American ships didn't have radar, or didn't have much radar. I don't know, maybe they had a little bit, but just having one ship in a night action, and it's not necessarily very good radar, doesn't mean that you're not going to be generally surprised by a enemy force. And then even though one ship may have it, the other ships can't use that for targeting information at night. So it might be slightly helpful, but it doesn't counterbalance well-trained night operations from Japan's side. But by mid-Pacific War, it doesn't matter anymore because so many American ships have radar on board that they can just go, oh yeah, the ship's over there, let's just target it. Doesn't matter whether we can see it or not, we can target the ships via radar. So all their great night training becomes for naught, basically, to some degree or another. Not that good training and skills are always useful, but it's no longer a deciding factor. But Japan is Japan. Get back to the resources. They're moving out to get more resources, okay? That is their primary reason for expansion, is resources, and it's industrial resources. It is not primarily for food resources, though the population is having, and because of some natural disasters, does have some food situation, starvations at some point through the 20s and 30s. At least regionally in Japan, maybe not nationally in Japan, starvation situation. But there are lots of very poor people, and part of that is the sort of food economy in Japan. Japan does have that, but it's not, food is not the critical issue for Japan. It's industrial resources. It wants to industrialize, it doesn't have the resources, it wants to expand out. It has a reasonably good-sized merchant force. But again, Japan is Japan. And from reading it, the lowest, the least liked, the lowest respected, the worst possible activity a naval officer could be sent to do is sort of like, you know, think of the worst punishment you could give somebody with it. Not like putting them in prison, but, you know, back in the 1950s and 70s or whatever, you know, for like an army officer. Well, you'll be, you know, if you sort of screw up, you'll be stationed in Alaska. You know, not sent to the war, because if you're a career army officer, you want to go fight in the war, at least for a little while, because you want to punch your ticket of going to the war. No, it's you're going to be sent off to Alaska if you screw up. It's not you're screwing up so bad that you're kicked out of the army, but you know, your fitness reports are bad, or you make a stupid decision. Hello, total rated fish, or total, I'm sure I'm butchering that up, fish. Very glad to have you here. You know, so, you know, you sort of screw up, not so bad like, again, you're kicked out or whatever, you're going to prison, but you've screwed up enough. The joke was, and realistically, you're sent off to some sort of duty in Alaska because it was cold and underpopulated, and at that time they were worried about, you know, Soviet missiles or an invasion or something like that. So the worst possible duty you could be sent to in the Japanese Navy was escorting commerce, your supply, your tankers, your freighters. That was the worst possible, basically, duty you could be sent to. It would be better to be stuck out of the war in a staff position, you know, somewhere in the homeland. It would be better to be, you know, on any sort of combat operations facing the Americans. The worst possible duty you could be sent to would be convoy escort. But that is the most important thing you could possibly be sent for. And so how do you do this? Because from my reading, I'm learning that, yes, Japan had a bauxite problem, but it gets more bauxite mines, it expands them, gets more bauxite, meaning aluminum, into production to increase aircraft. It has not enough steel, but a reasonable amount of steel coming out of Manchuria. It has maybe not enough, but a reasonable amount of coal coming out of Manchuria. It has not enough, but maybe not reasonable, but a bunch of oil coming out of Indonesia. It has rubber coming out of, you know, Malaya and here. Maybe hardwood, though they never, as I talked about, never really look at exploiting it for rifle stocks or other things, but hardwood that could go into good, useful military applications. Okay, so they get these resources. In the early days, it works because they can bring it to Japan. But because mainly the American submarines, though all branches at some point, sink so many transports, they can't get the oil. At one point, late 43, early 44, the main Japanese fleet is sort of sitting down here because this is where the oil is, and they're doing some levels of refining here. And so, and you can, at least I think out of Bogpon, that would be here, or one of these oil fields here has good enough oil coming out of the ground that you can pump it straight into the ships and burn that oil. That oil is that good, that sort of pure, but the engineers who use it hate doing that because it leaves awful residue behind. It has to be cleaned out at some point. It's not a good solution, but it's a functional solution. At some point, they give permission officially to burn oil straight out of the ground into their ships, and the shipping operations for some of these ships becomes sort of in this area because it's tied to these oil, because they can't get the oil to Japan because of the shipping losses, and because they don't escort their shipments. They don't ever do a convoy system. I'm not saying they don't ever have convoys, and they definitely have troop convoys. Troop convoys are not the dirty, hate-to-do work because it is a combat mission, and you're likely to encounter enemy surface fleets as part of it. That's a different thing. You know, a troop convoy that's advancing, particularly advancing, though also pulling out of Guadalcanal down here, you know, though that was mostly done with troops going on to military vessels. That's a different thing. Even in an evacuation, that's a different thing versus these the Marus of the transports of cargo, freight, that kind of thing is the worst possible duty you could be given to. Yes, they did escort some of those things, but it was always the lowest priority. It was always what none of the officers, none of the Navy wanted to do. So Japan, to be Japan, you can't allow them to have a national focus, or do you want to properly set up convoy escorts? And of course the player is going to go, yes please, because they're going to, you know, it's just the only reasonable thing to do, because you're going to want to escort your vital supplies. And it's so bad that Japan realizes that it needs more tankers and wants to start building tankers to haul the oil around in enough time, you know, it's not like in the last days of the war, but in enough time to build tankers and stuff. It has one problem. It doesn't have enough cargo ships to move, because you need coal to create steel, because steel is iron and carbon basically coming from coal, though I think you can get other sorts of things in there. People I'm sure that know better than I do, but is combined to make, you know, coal and carbon, or iron and carbon is combined to make steel. But they're not making enough steel because they can't get the iron, or if there's, I don't know how much steel production is going on, though I do know they do expand actual steel production in Manchukuo as time goes on, but still the main, I think, steel is actually produced in Japan. But there isn't enough coal or iron being able to be shipped in because they don't have enough regular transports to build more tankers. So this is the position that Japan gets itself into, because not that it didn't start the war theoretically with enough transports, but because it doesn't protect its transports well enough. So you have to have Japan, keep Japan almost to the point, and I don't know if we can do this, but let me just try to grab one of, do we not have, okay, we have a fleet here, to keep it from being able to block convoy escort as a possible operation. So that is part of why Japan loses the war. I've definitely come to the conclusion that what Donuts wanted to do in to Britain with its submarines, the US was on its way to doing and could have done to Japan, and simply launched continuous submarine operations against Japan, and to the point of starving out all of their troop garrisons and everywhere else, and do that. I've come to the conclusion that the submarines could have won the war for the Americans almost alone. I mean, it's sort of, you know, obviously I'm overstating that a little bit. Justification again. Who's justifying against us? Russian Federation is justifying against us. Is that because we didn't let them move through our land or something? Our territory? I thought they were a puppet of... Well, we may get our war with the Axis if the Russians are allowed to go to war against us. I don't know if they will. I hope. Fall of Hong Kong. Well, good. We've got Hong Kong. Oh, and we should probably... We're not at war with them, but these guys could take out... Oh, we're not at war with Vichy France either. Okay. Knew we weren't at war with... Portugal. Yeah, I don't understand. Vladivostok. Japan does actually have claims, but I see there's also these Chinese claims here. I don't see these people have ever been Chinese enough to have Chinese claims on this. At least, definitely not in the 20th century. And I don't know if whenever Imperial China ever realistically... Yes, non-aggression pact. Mongolian... okay, we'll accept that Mongol can move through. Though I would sort of like to have... give Mongol to Meijang, but we'll have to see about that. Yeah, I'm guessing that's just so that if you're playing one of those factions in China and win the Chinese Civil War, you can take it and keep it or something and have cores or some such thing. I'm guessing. I don't know. Okay, well, you attack there and you attack there. And I know I've been talking a lot, but I think it's time to end the episode, not to stream, so you guys on Twitch, just hang loose. We'll be back for more. But I want to thank all of you on YouTube for watching, for liking the videos. I really do appreciate that. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And, of course, please post your comments if you want to disagree with me. I love that. Just tell me why. You know, give your arguments. Love to hear. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.